So I guess I'm just curious in how your brain works when you're organizing all of your properties
Hmm.
and how you keep track of everything and what that all looks like.
Okay. So I personally keep two separate spreadsheets. I have one spreadsheet of the purchase, of what I paid for it, um, what the rents are going to be, what the option fee is going to be, what I'm selling it for on the option, and it gives me kind of a flow of how much rent I'm going to have income wise. So I know what my total mortgages are. I know what my total taxes are, my total insurance. I know what my total gross rent is minus all the expenses. So I know what my net is, what I should be putting in my hip pocket every month. Okay. That's kind of on one sheet. Plus, it gives me how much real estate I own. So it will use a calculation either from Zillow or Redfin or RPR or whatever. And I actually run four of them to see what they say the values are. And of course, they vary a little bit. But it might buy down here at X dollars. Then you take all the mortgages out, minus the mortgages of whatever that might be. And whatever that end number is going to be your net amount. That's how much equity I have in my properties.
And that's
Okay.
what you call owning real estate, like how much real estate you own. Is that
Not
number?
necessarily. People will say it different. Okay. So you could say that I own $10 million worth of real estate. That's gross.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's a stating a true fact that you own $10 million. Not saying that's what I own or don't own.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But let's say you own $10 million. So if you went to the open market and sold it, that's what you could get for it, $10 million.
Mm.
But you have liabilities on it, or maybe you don't. Maybe it's free and clear. But if you have liabilities on it of say $6 million, now your net that you is 4 million. So you have equity or a net worth of real estate and equity only of $4 million.
But you like to see what you would actually get at the end.
So I look at the numbers we just talked about. I look at gross ownership. I look at total liabilities because I have mortgages and I have private money, and that all gets equated into one number. Minus the gross gives me my net, so I know where my net is of what my true equity number is.
Mm-hmm.
Then I turn around and I look at rents. I look at, so maybe I get $50,000 worth of rents a month. Okay. Is that net or gross? So I have to calculate that. The way I do it, I do net.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's minus the mortgage, taxes, insurance. So this is my net amount. That's what I want to see. How much money am I putting in my pocket every single month? Okay. At the same token, we have an option price that I've sold that property for. And then in our option, it says and or appraised value. So I'll plug in that option price. So now let's say I buy a property for $100,000, but I have an option on it in 5 years to sell it for 180.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now I have some equity there over a 5 year period. It's not instant. So then I'll run those numbers. So now going back to going back to these numbers back here, what I bought for it, that's a gross. Okay. But now I'm looking 5 years in the future. So let's say it was $10 million here. Now maybe it's $15 million here.
Mm.
Okay. Minus liabilities, minus the mortgage. Now, over that 5 years, the mortgage are getting paid down because you're paying down principal.
Right.
So now that net equity amount
Mm-hmm.
actually grows over
Gotcha.
that 5 years. Okay. So I watch that. Okay. And then I watch how much option fee I put in my pocket
Mm-hmm.
also, whether that be all at one payment or if I'm getting monthly payments or whatever. So I look at that number too. So that's one spreadsheet. Plus on that spreadsheet, I have what date I bought it, what number it is in the category, the addresses it has. I have in the seller and who the lease option purchase is.
Mm-hmm.
I have in there when the option is going to expire and needs to be exercised. So I have that all on that spreadsheet.
Okay.
Then I have a whole nother spreadsheet that's probably more important than anything. And that is tracking my lease payments every single month.
Mm.
Okay. So in there, we have the properties, we have who's buying it, and what their terms are. Okay. So if they're on a 5 year lease option, when does that option expire? So I know that. I know If they're on an option fee assistance program, what their monthly payments are going to be. I have that in a column. Then another column I'm going to have what their rents are and what their monthly option fee should be if they're making payments. Then it goes month to month. So each month I have a date in there of when they paid their lease payment, what the amount was, and then what date they paid their option payment if there's an option payment fee. Okay. Each month I track that. And then below that, I actually track if there's a mortgage payment, what the mortgage is, who it's paid to, and then if it's private money, who that's paid out to, and I track to make sure that that's been paid every single month. Then what I do is Sandy and I sit down once or twice a month and we reanalyze my sheet against her stuff, which is Inago, okay, and or QuickBooks, a combination. And we look at that and we compare to make sure that, yes, I have all my rents collected or I don't, or why is this here? And so that check and balance system, okay? I always believe in a check and balance system to make sure your numbers are staying on track. So I track them one way, Sandy tracks them a different way, and we compare notes. Okay, if one of us is off, we figure out why. And because the way the rents come in, they're supposed to be paid through Inago. They don't always come in through Inago. Sometimes they'll go to the bank and put it right into our account. Sometimes they do Cash App, Venmo, Zelle, Apple Pay. We don't like that. We like it on Inago only because then it's easier to track. Sometimes they're paid through our servicing company. So the renter will pay directly to the mortgage or to the servicing company, and then the servicing company pays the mortgages, all the expenses, and sends us the difference. Okay. So sometimes we got to track that. Okay. And if we have to do that, that's another way that things can get lost. At the same time, Magnus Servicing sends us a check in snail mail. Sometimes that gets lost. Okay. So I'll get a sheet once a month that yes, it got paid, but did we receive the check and get it put in the bank account?
Right.
Okay. Some of them we're going to direct deposit through Magnus now. Okay. But not all of them for certain reasons. So we have to track all that. So that's what that sheet is.
Okay.
Then I have another sheet, but it's really not a sheet. It's just a totals page.
Oh, okay.
And all the totals page is I'm able to compare month to month to month how much rent I had coming in, how much option fee I had coming in, what's my total income, minus my mortgage payments, and how much net I put in my pocket every single month.
And that's just for your properties.
That's just for properties.
So the properties that you own, that's not including the novations and stuff like that we do in house.
Nothing. Nope. Novations, wholesale, that's all assignment fees. That's all separate. I don't track that on any of that. That's all done through Sandy through QuickBooks.
Okay.
Okay. Make sense?